Okay, so I just got finished watching the new movie on Netflix called The Unicorn Store. It was horrible. Okay, it stars Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson. You know, the cast of they star in Captain Marvel, and then they're gonna go on to star in Endgame. Which I'm surprised because I mean Netflix has been getting better and better actors, more seasoned and expensive actors lately, and Netflix usually gets it right. And this time, this movie was so terrible. Like I started it at 12. It's like 4 o'clock now, and I've had to restart it, pause it, restart it, pause it because it was so boring. So basically, Brie Larson's character is a girl kind of like stuck in her adolescent phase, but she's maybe in her mid 20s. It was never really said how old she is, but she either flunked out of art school or was kicked out, and I had to move back in with her parents. And she didn't really have the motivation to get up and work. So she finally starts working at a temp agency, and she gets hired at for a temp at like an advertising firm and whatnot. And the thing is that her parents kind of babied her too. They didn't really push her to really get up and get anything done. But all of a sudden she gets this invitation to the store, and that's where Samuel L. Jackson comes in, and he promises her a unicorn, but she has to prove herself worthy to have a unicorn. And she goes and does all these things, and to prove herself. And then she met this boy. They're kind of dating for a little bit, and she brings him to the place, and there was nothing there. So he thinks she's nuts, and she kind of lost her belief. They have a big fight, blah blah blah. So at the end of it, he calls her, say, yeah, your unicorn's ready, come and get it. If you don't want it, there's somebody else waiting to get it. So do you want it or not? So she shows up to get the unicorn, and it was kind of like a growing up moment for her, where she realized that, hey, I don't really need this. It's time for me to grow up. It's time for me to let go of certain things. And the end, the other lady shows up and blah blah blah. Here's my thing. Brie Larson is a terrible actress. She was horrible in Captain Marvel. Like, she was terrible. Like, they could have done way better with their selection. And she is horrible in this too. The thing with her is, like, I can't really tell how old she is. Sometimes she looks like she might be in her late 20s. Sometimes she looks like she might be in her mid 30s. And sometimes she looks like she's in her early 40s. So her playing a young role, like, is not believable to me at all, because she just doesn't look young enough, to me. She seems more like a middle-aged person who could pass for somebody younger, but she just doesn't seem young enough to play this role. And it was never said how old Captain Marvel is either, so she could pass. Samuel L. Jackson, of course, he's amazing. You can do no wrong, or you can't go wrong when Samuel L. Jackson is in a movie, because he's just amazing. I was surprised Netflix is able to afford him, but like I said, they've been getting better actors. Will Smith, Jake Gyllenhaal, all of that. So it was a good addition. His character was okay. I mean, he acted very well. He was regular Samuel L. Jackson, but like I said, this movie was terrible. It wasn't believable. They spent too much time trying to paint her as this young-minded person that doesn't want to grow up. And then the last, like, 2 minutes, all of a sudden, miraculously, she's grown up and over it. So that's my problem with it. So if I were to give it between 1 to 5, I would give it like a -3, because it was so terrible. Like when I see in the previews, it just looked boring. But because Samuel is in it and she was in it, I thought, okay, well, let me give it a try. And Netflix usually gets it right. So I was like, it can't be that bad, but it was really terrible. I would not recommend it at all because, like I said, it was just so boring and the acting was lackluster. On Brie Larson's part, she's a terrible front woman. She's like, Ben Affleck is like one of my worst actors ever, and she's even worse than Ben Affleck. So, I mean, watch it your own risk, but I would definitely like to get my time back that I spent watching it.